Russia adapts T-90M for drone warfare as frontline feedback shapes new protection package. Russia is upgrading its T-90M Proryv main battle tank with enhanced electronic warfare systems and new protection measures in response to battlefield lessons from Ukraine, according to a June 23, 2026, report by Russian state news agency TASS, citing Rostec. The latest modernization reflects Moscow's effort to keep heavy armor effective against FPV drones, loitering munitions, and precision-guided weapons that have transformed armored warfare into a contest of survivability as much as firepower. The upgrade combines stronger electronic warfare capabilities, reinforced armor, and additional protection for the engine compartment against top-attack drone strikes, creating a more layered defensive system for the battlefield. The program also demonstrates Russia's shift toward rapid combat-driven adaptation, using frontline feedback to improve armored vehicles and preserve their operational value in an increasingly drone-dominated battlespace. On June 23, 2026, Russian news agency TASS reported that Rostec had announced a new stage of modernization for the T-90M Proryv main battle tank based on feedback from Russian troops operating the platform on the battlefield. The announcement points to a wider shift in Russian armored warfare, where survivability, counter-drone protection, and rapid adaptation are becoming as decisive as firepower or mobility. At a time when FPV drones, loitering munitions, top-attack anti-tank weapons, and NATO-supplied precision systems have reshaped the armored battlespace, the latest T-90M upgrade package signals Moscow's attempt to keep heavy armor relevant in a contested electromagnetic and sensor-saturated environment. EZOIC. The modernization of the T-90M Proryv is being driven directly by frontline feedback, a factor that gives this development particular military significance. Rostec Deputy CEO Nikolai Volobyev stated that the experience of soldiers involved in the special military operation is being used both to modernize existing hardware and to create new models. In practical terms, this indicates that the T-90M is no longer being treated as a fixed production design, but as an evolving combat system, with Ural-Vagonzavod adapting protection, electronic warfare, and technical characteristics according to the threat environment observed in Ukraine. For a Russian main battle tank, this represents a wartime spiral development model closer to NATO's operational feedback loop, where lessons from contact are converted into engineering changes, survivability kits, and mission-specific protection packages. The most important element of the announced upgrade is the significant enhancement of the tank's electronic warfare suite over recent months. In the current battlefield, EW is no longer a rear area or formation-level capability. It is increasingly being integrated directly onto armored platforms as a local self-protection layer. For the T-90M, this likely reflects the need to disrupt the command links, navigation channels, or terminal control signals used by small UAVs and FPV drones before they can strike exposed zones around the turret roof, engine deck, or rear hull. In NATO terminology, this corresponds to a platform-level electronic protective measure and counter-UAS soft kill capability. In Russian military terminology, it fits the broader emphasis on radioelectronic warfare as a means of reducing the effectiveness of reconnaissance strike complexes, particularly when Ukrainian units combine ISR drones, artillery, anti-tank guided missiles, and FPV attack drones in a compressed kill chain. The reinforcement of armor and protection also reflects a direct response to the shift from frontal anti-armor engagements to multi-axis threats. Traditional Soviet and Russian tank design prioritized a low silhouette, strong frontal arc protection, a 125mm smoothbore gun, auto-loader architecture, and high operational mobility. However, the Ukrainian battlefield has shown that survivability is increasingly determined by protection against top-attack profiles, rear aspect drone strikes, and cumulative damage from repeated low-cost attacks. Rostec's reference to enhanced armor, passive and active defense systems, and improved crew safety suggests that the T-90M upgrade is being shaped around layered survivability, base armor, explosive reactive armor, additional cage or net-type anti-drone structures, electronic countermeasures, smoke or obscuration, and potentially future hard-kill active protection. This does not make the vehicle invulnerable, but it shows that Russia is trying to create a more distributed protection architecture around the tank rather than relying only on frontal armor mass. A particularly relevant detail is the added protection for the projection of the engine transmission compartment within the tank's upper hemisphere defense. This is a highly specific battlefield-driven modification. The engine transmission compartment, often referred to in Russian technical language as the motorno transmissiono oddelenie, is a critical vulnerability because damage to this area can immobilize the tank even without destroying the crew compartment. Once immobilized, a main battle tank becomes vulnerable to artillery correction, drone-delivered munitions, anti-tank guided missiles, and follow-on strikes. By reinforcing the upper hemisphere over this zone, Uralvagonzavod appears to be responding to a pattern of attacks in which FPV drones and loitering munitions dive onto the rear deck or engine area to achieve a mobility kill. From a NATO perspective, this is an effort to preserve mobility as a component of survivability, because a tank that can still maneuver, reverse, reposition, or withdraw retains tactical value even after being detected. The advantages of this upgraded T-90M package lie less in a single technical breakthrough and more in the cumulative effect of several survivability layers. Enhanced EW can reduce the probability of successful drone attack. Additional upper hemisphere protection can limit damage from top-down strikes. Stronger armor can improve resistance against shaped charge threats, and active or passive protection improvements can increase the crew's chance of surviving multiple engagement cycles. For Russian armored units, this is important because tanks are being used not only for breakthrough operations, but also for direct fire support, covert assaults, defensive fire missions, and rapid attacks against fortified positions. In such missions, the T-90M must operate inside a dense NATO-style intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance environment, even if Ukraine systems are a mix of Western, Soviet-era, and locally adapted assets. The upgrade therefore seeks to reduce the exposure of Russian armor to the modern kill chain, detection by UAV, confirmation by ISR asset, targeting through digital command links, and engagement by artillery, ATGM, FPV drone, or precision munition. The Rostec announcement shows that Russia is attempting to institutionalize battlefield adaptation inside its defense industrial base. The fact that Uralvagonzavod is continuing work on passive and active protection systems, operational reliability, and technical characteristics indicates that Moscow sees the T-90M as a long-term armored platform rather than a temporary wartime asset. This matters for NATO planners because the Russian army is likely to emerge from the war with a more practical understanding of drone-era armored warfare, even after sustaining major vehicle losses. The modernization also sends a message to export markets and partner states that Russia can still update legacy armor designs under sanctions and combat pressure. For countries operating Russian-origin tanks, the T-90M's adaptation may be presented by Moscow as proof that Soviet-arrived platforms can be reconfigured for the modern battlefield through EW, modular armor, anti-drone protection, and active defense rather than replaced entirely. The development also reflects the competition between two models of armored modernization. NATO armies are investing in digitalized armored formations, active protection systems, networked sensors, improved ammunition, and combined arms integration under multi-domain operations. Russia, by contrast, is adapting under wartime pressure, using immediate troop feedback to harden platforms against the most common battlefield threats. The T-90M upgrade should not be read only as a technical change to one tank type, but as part of a broader Russian effort to preserve armored maneuver in an environment dominated by drones, artillery, electronic warfare, and precision targeting. If these modifications are produced at scale, they could complicate Ukrainian anti-armor tactics by forcing more complex engagement sequences, requiring multiple drones or combined effects to defeat a single tank, and increasing the cost of achieving reliable kills against Russian armored spearheads. The latest Rostec announcement, published by Russian news agency TASS, confirms that the T-90M Proryv is being reshaped by the realities of the battlefield rather than by peacetime design assumptions. Its upgraded electronic warfare systems, reinforced armor, added upper hemisphere protection for the engine transmission compartment, and continued development of passive and active protection show how the drone war is redefining the main battle tank. The message is clear. Russia is not abandoning heavy armor, but trying to adapt it for a battle space where survival depends on electronic protection, top attack resistance, rapid engineering feedback, and the ability to keep crews alive under persistent aerial observation. For NATO and Ukraine, this development means that future anti-armor operations will increasingly have to defeat not just a tank, but a layered mobile protection system built around battlefield lessons.